the Anfield Wrap in association with RedsBet. 50% of RedsBet's profits go to Liverpool supporter-related causes for RedsBet, fan-related causes for FansBet. It's a very, very good idea, kind idea. But if you gamble, please consider doing so through them. If you don't, then please don't. Move on. And regardless, begambleaware.org. We're here to talk about Liverpool versus Chelsea, or more accurately, Chelsea versus Liverpool. I'm Neil Atkinson. I've got Paul Senior, Adam Melia, and Rob Gutmann with me to work through that fantastic time. And Rob and Paul were there. How crazy was it when Sturridge does that, Rob?
It all went off, Neil. It proper went off.
I haven't asked you yet. I haven't asked you in real life or anything. So how brilliant was it?
It was great. I had a proper stranger danger hug there. Was good, and it clasped for that slightly bit too long. All right, mate, thanks. All the best. I'm still enjoying the goal though. I'd like to celebrate with my son, but give me a number later. And yeah, no, it was as big a celebration as I can remember in a while for a goal that didn't particularly define anything. But I think it was massive relief. It was a bigger goal than I think even if we'd won it late on, because everyone was very invested in not losing that game when it became clear that we could actually lose a football match for the first time. Not just not win all of them, we could lose one. And it would have been represented quite a sudden jolt back to reality, almost a feeling that maybe we're not in this title race, maybe we've just had a few nice games. But I don't know, symbolically it felt like a massive goal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was the very, excuse me, I was the very front of the upper tier, and I was sort of affected by limbs from behind me. You know, it was quite a special end to that game. I mean, I thought the away end was decent, but you know, I think it was one that was growing more and more frustrated, and I think the reality that it wasn't going to be our day was sinking in. And then, you know, it's not even a chance, so it just takes everyone by surprise. I mean, I think it's that moment when everyone realises what's just gone on, and it absolutely goes off. It was great. There was lads, as I was saying, I was at the very front, and there was lads standing with no hands on top of the, looking over the lower tier. It sent me west because I thought he's going to fall there. He's going to fall there. So I wasn't quite comfortable, but we had a lovely time.
As a game, Rob, again being in the ground, I just want to get your views on this. Firstly, I thought it is, and having watched it back, you know, I think it's difficult to argue it's not a tremendous game of football. But the thing that grabs me is the sheer speed of it, especially that first half, the quality of these footballers and the pace they play at. It's one of the fastest. That first half, honestly, when I looked at the clock on 8 minutes, and I felt like I'd had 20 with everything that had gone on, but also just the sheer amount of movement that there is everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's a theme of our games against Chelsea in recent years. They're frenetic, aren't they? In some ways, I feel I know they're always a good team, but almost our hardest game. In the game, I'm always a lot less. I've been more comfortable in games against City in recent times, and I know we've raced into Leeds. Chelsea just feels like it's never going to let up. The whole bloody thing's never going to let up. Just like the away end, it was a very good away end. It just, even Paul says even though there was a point where I thought it was drifting away from us, our crowd really resurrected itself, and I think contributed to seeing us home. So yeah, to answer to one question you asked and one you didn't.
That's fine.
There you go.
Adam, one of the things I put in my piece post-match, because it occurred to me literally whilst I was writing it, that when now on terrestrial television people see the highlights of football matches, they see the incidents. And one of the things about that game and these games that are like this is you're never more than 10 seconds away from a potential highlight. And I think that's something that's really hard to put over now. For the casual viewer who doesn't get to watch live football matches, when you watch Liverpool versus Chelsea, you could just pause it at any point and you can well imagine how there's something that would make the match of the day highlights reel just about to happen, because these games are that frenetic. They're nothing but potential highlights.
It's true, yeah, and there's more, as you say, there's probably more highlights in any 1 minute than there is in, you know, the kind of Burnley v Cardiff or, you know, games like that still do occur and pass completely without incident. I haven't watched the whole thing back again, and I wish I had, because I feel like I've seen Match of the Day. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I looked at the clock on 16 minutes and I was exhausted. I was shattered. I couldn't believe that it was only 16 minutes. And it is strange the things football does to time. I mean, I think it does bear repeated viewings, and the more you watch things, the more you can sort of start to take the emotion out of it. And I think that's what was so exhausting about it. It was an emotional encounter, and I think, like as Rob said, they do tend to be. It's possibly our hardest fixture, our most horrible game. You know, Old Trafford's not good either, but playing Chelsea is just it feels like we can't quite ever get one step ahead of them in a way. You know, we've done something, they've done something, and you know, they were kind of written off widely over the summer. You know, even by their own fans, there was talk of, you know, crisis and things like this, which.
There was this mad feeling that loads of them were going to leave. Loads of them were linked away. You know, you think about who's played for them there. Hazard was linked away. Kante was. They were both emphatically linked away. Yeah. Willian was linked
Morata.
away. We're talking Morata's been linked away. We're talking of three of the starters there. A lad who comes off the bench, Adam. They were all genuinely. You know, if all three of them had gone, you wouldn't have been surprised. They were on moves that were at different stages, supposedly nailed on, and yet here they are playing fantastic football, with the exception of Morata.
I know it's annoying, and I sort of that was what I was saying in the summer. You know, it will. I hope this comes to pass. I hope it finally isn't us, and it's another team that's losing all of their stars, and is actually, you know, gonna have to take a backward step. But yeah, they haven't, and I mean, I think, as I said the other day, I think that's the best they've played this season. I have watched them quite a bit, and I wonder whether they might kick on more from this, start gaining some momentum, because I thought they were good.
I thought it was interesting because it felt like both sides were paying each other tons of respect. Like there was, you could see that they were both very aware of each other, and maybe, I don't know, even out of the game in the week where they've gone, oh, they're good them, and it's been reciprocal, you know, but still both sides had the ability to cut each other open quite frequently, and that, you know, you see these games and you go, oh, they're both paying each other too much respect. Well, I thought there was loads of respect going on, but just the sheer ability of both sides was just allowing them to open defences up time. I mean, you see that ball from David Luiz, it's a Willian.
It's unreal. It's
absolutely unreal, you know. And this is just, these are the centre halves that are doing that. Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez, distribution, cutting past Chelsea midfield time and time again, just getting us in behind. Wijnaldum, especially, I thought was magnificent on the day, and he was just playing out of tight spaces, getting Liverpool once again on the front foot. I thought, do you know what? I think 1 to 11, both sides. I think almost everybody impressed me.
The second half, Rob, was slightly more considered than the first. It was a bit more attack versus defence, certainly for the first sort of 15-20. We'll come on to talk more about it in a minute or two. But one of the things I just left the game with when reflecting on it was the idea that not only did neither side deserve to lose, you can actually put a pretty coherent argument together that both sides deserve to win, and that normally isn't how football matches happen. You can sometimes say we were just about value for a draw, but they played really well. It's quite rare to see a game where you would not begrudge it if somehow the league made it work and we both got 3 points or we both got 2 points, if you know what I mean, given the quality that was on show.
Yeah, all those arguments are fair. I'm going to need to watch this back in its entirety. In a way, there was a part of me that was relieved when Chelsea took the lead, because I thought, now we might have a chance to show what we can do, because they are a team that will take being in front and happily bed in the game and let you come at them. And I thought, well, we'll come at you. And eventually we did. So I'm not sure. And I think our domination in that second half is quite comprehensive from memory. And the chances, I mean, apart from the one where Alisson makes a great save from Hazard on the counter, but the referee should never allow the free kick that quickly, in my opinion. That was an outrage. So I don't even credit Chelsea with that chance, truly. We worked hard for our chances, and they were good chances that we created. One for Shaqiri, one for Firmino, and Mane's wriggle in the box, and then, of course, the goal. So If Chelsea had won on the basis of that second, if they'd seen it out, I thought we'd have been very hard done by. Actually, no, maybe we just didn't do enough to win because we didn't get level and then push on enough. We tried to push on when there was no time left. So yeah, your summary's right.
The goal, the equaliser. We'll focus on our goal first and foremost. It's a remarkable thing, Rob. It really is. You can watch it back a million times and still just think it's incredible. We've already had far more out of Daniel Sturridge than I thought we'd have had if you'd asked me on the 1st of July. It's just the ultimate vindication, really, for both player and manager at this stage. I think both of them can be rightfully sort of proud of what they've given to each other at this stage of this season. You know, Sturridge is now sitting here; he's our joint top scorer. Yeah,
it's interesting to see where it goes from this. I mean, the goal itself, it's always in his locker, that goal. He tries that shot a lot. And he's never usually far off. In fact, he does it on Wednesday night and hits the bar, the same shot. He scores that goal against West Brom, doesn't he, a few years ago, more or less, and then he does try it. Where he goes from here, I mean, Paul and I were talking in the car on the way back. I said, I'd love him just to get a comfortable, from the bench, 12-goal season. That would be lovely. You know, he's back, he's in the zone. You can use him again next year and the year after, possibly. Give him a new contract. I don't quite know where it goes from there. I think there has to be a game. No, this is me almost sounding like being negative when it's entirely positive. There has to be a game soon where he starts and we go, Daniel Sturridge was effective all the way through. He wasn't Roberto Firmino, but he was effective. Didn't just get
against Paris Saint-Germain, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah. He was okay. Yeah, he scored. He gets his goal there. I'm not sure. I think he was okay. I'd like it almost to not be coloured by the goal that he gets, the talismanic goal he is getting every single time, because he's such an outstanding goal contributor, and all his goals have been amazing. Most of them being of a very, very high standard. I'd almost like to see what a Daniel Sturridge game entirely without the goal to sort of colour it is going to look like from here on in, to see whether he can just be this sort of totemic figure from the bench, or whether he can actually be, Firmino's out for a month, it's Daniel in. I want him to get to that stage, I suppose, or we can go, okay, Bobby's out for a month, Sturridge can do the biz for us.
I think his mindset would make his current mindset, from what you can see with Daniel Sturridge, would make me comfortable with that. He's very determined. You can see even in the celebrations, he's almost going like, you know, I almost understand, but I am back. This is me back. And I think, I don't know if Rob's being slightly unfair on him or what, but I think...
Just a word of caution, I suppose.
I thought his movement, his general work, I enjoyed his Paris Saint-Germain performance much more than I did against the one against Chelsea in the League Cup, for example. But that one, he's surrounded by the first team as well, you know, and he looked like he fit in the system, maybe for the first time ever. It didn't look like a big, obvious change, which is maybe what we struggle to adjust to when he plays for us now, is that stylistically him and Firmino have been different, but I think Sturridge has gone, well, actually, I'm going to be more like Firmino.
Would you start him in Napoli?
Yeah, probably, yeah. I don't see why I wouldn't. With City on the horizon, I don't know what fitness levels and stuff like, but that's an intense game at the weekend, so I wouldn't be adverse to starting him against Manchester City. Now he's got to that point, you know, I would prefer the front three, but if they're not firing or they're not fit, then yeah, Sturridge can come in. I'm comfortable.
That's what I was going to say. Is I can see sort of where Rob's coming from, and I guess we'll see. Where,
yeah.
You know, and I think that's all you can say about that. I actually think that the shape of our substitutes, you know, specifically Sturridge, mostly Sturridge, is great. You know, that I'm more worried about the starting three in a way, because they much as we're still doing basically the same things. It's if it continues to kind of not come off for Mo, then it does start to it's been a thing. It's kind of been a thing, and I think we're sort of not sure how much of a thing it is and what it is exactly. But there was a point that Sean Rogers made on the review last week about how Liverpool need to be better in the last 20 minutes of games. And I was thinking that having, I'm sure you'll probably talk about it on the review, but that last 20 minutes was really heartening based on that concern, because we haven't been strong enough towards the end of games. Jurgen Klopp's side hasn't been strong enough towards the end of games. We usually, if we're going to do anything, we'll concede. So to come on and make, you know, a brilliant chance for Shaqiri and then score an unreal goal by Sturridge is really heartening in general.
It felt like there was a determination not to let the invincibility thing slip, and that was what I was so pleased about. Just generally that Liverpool came out of the game still unbeaten. Just that little phrase, you know, you could have come out of that and went, do you know what, we played really well, we were unlucky, it's a shame that Chelsea got the points. But no, actually Liverpool was so determined not to let it slip. You know, I thought 2 defeats to Chelsea in a week would have been a hard thing to swallow, despite the fact, you know, the League Cup I could have give or take this year. But
I thought that was one of the most important and successful, obviously, uses from the bench in Klopp's reign at Liverpool. First time.
Sorry, Rob. If you wind the clock back a couple of months to Kiev, this Daniel Sturridge coming off the bench rather than that Lallana sub or whatever that you have to make.
It's not just. It's also not just.
Different.
Yeah, and it's not just Daniel Sturridge. It's the fact. Look, why United was so often so successful under Ferguson is because of the quality they could make from the bench. I know it's a cliche, but Sheringham and Solskjaer back in the day, that kind. They're putting 2 on Berbatov and Tevez or whatever it was, and you go, for fuck's sake, really? We're able to put, I mean, they put Morata on, and I'm going, okay. But
He's a £60 million striker.
Yeah, exactly. But we're able to bring in Shaqiri, Sturridge, and Naby Keita. There's a lot. They're all worth a lot of dough at their best. Okay, different values for different ages and things like that. But it was a potent statement front, a change. We end up with 4 attackers on the pitch, don't we? I think it's not been talked about a lot. I think Naby Keita was really, really influential and really, really important.
He's a good sub, isn't he?
Yeah, we were talking. Paul's dad. Paul loath to agree with his dad, but Paul's dad was talking to us on Paul's car phone on the way back, and he rightly said, I think Naby changed the game. He got us 10 yards further up the pitch. I thought he was very aggressive. The balance in the midfield was better. Okay, it's different against tiring legs who wanted to drop 10, but he took us 10 yards further up the pitch. Shaqiri's running took us 10 yards further up the pitch.
It's actually interesting, just to interrupt for a second, that Henderson was a good sub when it was the other way around, sort of against Palace. So it's sort of good that whichever way we go, if one of them isn't quite, is looking a bit more lumpy, like Henderson was the other day, then Keita comes on, and vice versa. Henderson's been able to come on and look like a captain and take us through to the end of games.
Yeah, I thought, that goal from Sturridge, I know it's out of the blue, but if you look at it, Chelsea are backing off. And they're backing off because they've been stretched in the previous 10 minutes by the running, I'd say, of Keita and Shaqiri. So, I mean, they'll look back on, they're doing their podcast of this and go, how much bloody room did we give him? They stand off a long way from him.
It's Kante, isn't it, who's a couple of yards away from him, and he just throws the leg. And I was sort of made up when I watched it back, fast forwarding through a bit of it this morning. And yeah, Keita's sort of pressing them, but not in a sort of Kante is pressing him in a way that's not sort of familiar with him. It is quite withdrawn. It's a little bit standoffish, which is the opposite of what he is.
They were tired.
Yeah, they may be. Yeah, they may be. And I think the thing as well is that they're playing rotated squads in Europa Leagues where we're playing first teams in the Champions League, and I think that's something to consider as well. That Chelsea did look leggy last 15, I would say. They have a little go after the goal, but it's mainly from set pieces. But yeah, I think we've got to consider that we're playing more serious games than Chelsea and have done since the start of the season.
I think there's loads of questions around the way. Certainly us, Chelsea and City, Adam, are, and I can probably, in fact I would add Spurs into that, are in the last 20 of games, because I think it's a really valid point to say we're not great in the last 20 of games. But I think if you play with the intensity that you play with for the first hour of games, there is going to be that idea of a drop-off. And then there's also the idea that you're not used to having, because your A game is that intense, your B game, when you're trying to be less intense, is maybe just a little bit less effective. Like, other sides are better at playing slightly lower intensity football because they're doing it all the time, whereas you're not doing it. You're doing it as a recourse when the other thing's not worked, if you know what I mean. And I actually think we benefited from that the other way around. In recent weeks, we've been the side who are on top in games. We've been the side who are ahead in games. We've been the side whose A games worked, and then it begins to decline a little bit because you can't keep it up. Chelsea found themselves, I think, in the position where suddenly they were like, as Rob says, when will this Liverpool side go away? There's just another wave of them and another wave of them. And yeah, we see the Louise clearing it off the line as brilliant for Chelsea. If you're a Chelsea supporter, you are actually going, they're going to get one in a minute, because they're hurting us and they're pushing us back.
And that's been my feeling about this Liverpool side for the last year at least. Is if we're missing chances, I'm not thinking it's going to be one of those days. I'm thinking we're going to score in a minute. I think that we looked tired as well, to be honest. I thought I thought
before the changes,
and sort of I guess the substitutes were the people that were most noticeable after the subs were made, and I guess our subs were better than Chelsea's subs because theirs didn't have the same impact that ours did.
I thought taking Giroud off was mad. I didn't quite understand that, because I thought he was really bringing Willian and Hazard into the game. And when he took Morata off, they lost something from it.
Yeah. And who came off for Barkley?
Kovacic, and they missed Kovacic.
So Kovacic was brilliant, and he was brilliant in the week as well. Yeah, really good. Really. Yeah, I think it might be that, in fact, that's made the difference for Chelsea. Was he like right at the end of the window they got him as well, and that really has that span.
Part of the Courtois deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's properly span everything on its head. I think how good he's turning out to be. So
keepers good. Do you know what? Just digressing on to them, Adam. Chelsea, you know, from having about to lose all their lads, kept them all and did some neat business.
They did lose the keeper.
They lost the keeper, but this kid they've got in is no slouch. No, I mean, that save down to his right from Mane is unbelievable.
To be honest, he was the one I thought we weren't going to get Alisson, and he was the one I wanted us to get. So I mean, I think he's really good.
Of him until that day.
I'm sure we had a conversation about nominative determinism because he's called keeper.
Did we? We talked about every keeper in Europe, and I just don't know where. Yeah, he's Johnny Unpronounceable name.
But sorry. Well, so as I guess as you were saying, Neil, it was. I think that us being able to. Us being able to enliven it better than they could is a really promising.
Do you know what? Just thinking about this last 20 minutes thing, if we can stay on it. Your ideal is actually how we played at Stoke away last year. Is it last year? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Where
he brings Salah on, doesn't he?
Yeah, Stoke still had some fight in them at that stage of the season. It was like October, November time. We edge ourselves in front, but they have a go. Maybe they should have a pen at one stage. But we're able to bring on Salah for the last.
Can we bring Salah and Milner on?
Yeah. Well, the other night you could see it in the League Cup. They bring on Kante and Hazard and are able to turn a game. That I know this is an obvious set.
What do you think about Salah coming off? By the way, because that divided opinion in the pub.
Well, we're going to talk about Salah in a minute. I think for the first time, I understood that one and thought, yeah, okay, fine. He's done what he can.
I got to a point where I was sort of asking for him to come off. I thought it just wasn't working. At the first half, I thought he managed to dance around a few, but the finishes were poor. Second half, he just wasn't at it. And I thought it was an obvious change. As soon as I seen Shaqiri coming on, I knew it was Salah. It was one of them things that just stood out. And that shouldn't really be the case with a lad who wins Player of the Year last year, but it just wasn't his day.
They work. Sorry, Neil. They work on Salah very hard. Chelsea, you can tell. They had him well marshalled in that defeat we had to them right at the end of last season. I was right behind the goal, same position then, and he just couldn't get any breathing space. He was very frustrated that day. I think he actually does well against them first half. He nearly gets his goal. I think he's okay, but they seem to enmesh him in their net once they're comfortably in front.
The one thing, just back on Chelsea for a minute, is the one thing I was a bit concerned about is that back four have gelled. Rudiger is a lot better than I thought he was. I thought he was excellent, actually. David Luiz, he's a lad who wasn't playing for them last year, really, David Luiz, and to come back in and look just as good as he was the year they win the title is a concern. I thought Alonso dealt with Salah quite well as being dangerous in an attacking sense. That's Aspilicueta.
Such a pain in the arse.
How come
David Luiz and Eden Hazard?
But there's a
flip
side
one season on and one season off.
So I pushed a Roddy Smith piece this morning on Twitter, and someone came back to me because I said, I thought Luiz was brilliant, and he came back and he went, yeah, but if first half Salah slots that one, any one of the ones you want to refer to, you're actually saying, well, Luiz gave it away, or the way they played, the way they set up, so if Salah just puts that bottom corner, or if the one where Salah dinks it over to Firmino, if that comes off, you're actually saying, well, they haven't dealt with him there. And that's to really, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, because there's another flip side, Paul. I'll come to you next on it. The other flip side is, if the ball Luiz plays, that I think changes the game in the first half, that gets Willian in behind Robertson. If Willian finishes that and Chelsea go on and win that game 2-0, there's full page articles about the qualities of David Luiz.
Yeah,
it shows the fine margins this entire game's played on there, I think. And that, I thought, the early shape of the encounter, we were on top. That incident comes against the run of play, and then from there, it's almost as though Liverpool go, bloody hell. I think we dropped 5 yards, 10 yards after that. I think we had a bit of a. That was a bit moody, wasn't it, boys, about us?
Yeah, but him and Jorginho especially have got it in the locker. So Liverpool were allowing Chelsea centre-halves to have it, but if they've got that range, then you can't be pushing them up. You can't, especially with Hazard and Willian in behind. It was interesting, actually, because you said that about Luiz giving things away, but I thought Joe Gomez did the same in a couple of instances as well. So, but also we'll get round to talking about, I'm sure, just how good Joe Gomez was.
Yeah, it's the fine line that everyone walks.
Yeah,
and you can say that about Salah as well, because it were a Rudiger clearance off the line away from, having a
which was great defending.
Yeah,
it was all brilliant, that move. I think everyone comes out start looking well. I mean,
Alonso does brilliantly. Yeah. The keeper does really well. Salah does well.
Sends him off balance.
And Rudiger doesn't.
And then Rudiger does exactly what you want to cover in centre half.
Shouldn't Mo shoot then rather than go around the keeper?
It's never quite out from under his feet. It's never quite on for him. Really well. And also Alonso's putting him under massive pressure.
It's a bit like
he can't get his body
Mane's goal at Palace, isn't it? Where he's sort of off balance. He's had to take it round the keeper. He's had to go wide. But Rudiger's done his job excellently.
Well, Rudiger's should, in theory, and loads of defenders should give it up. At that point, they either presume this is going to get sorted by the keeper or whatever, and he doesn't, he goes all the way. But that's just one example throughout that first half, Rob, of not just with Salah, but, as I say, up until when Luiz gets Willian in, Liverpool could have scored 2 goals, 3 goals maybe even. You know, there's incidences in there that warning almost comes against the run of play.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm struggling to remember the specific chances because the best ones, I think, were the second half. But we seem okay. That is a shock how straight, well, it's not straight, but that diagonal ball puts Willian in. That really is, it does unhinge. Everyone's going, what the fuck? But also what's unhinges is, I know you think that precurses the actual goal itself, but the goal itself is a technical masterpiece by Chelsea in terms of the one-touch play, interplay in the middle of the pitch, and the third man run. Paul and I again were talking about some way. You put that in coaching videos every day. It was incredible. A guy next to me said, "Does the keeper, should he get that?" I think Hazard just takes it so quickly. It's everything about the goal's perfect.
Smacks it right in the corner.
Yeah, there's nothing to admonish.
It's bouncing as well, that ball, in a bit of a strange sense.
There's nothing for us to admonish ourselves really about that goal apart from the line we defend. But I think that is the way we're playing.
Sorry, I was going to say I sympathise with the keeper a little bit because he's had to shift himself, and Hazard's coming at such pace. Sometimes them goals are just good goals. You know, goalkeepers can't deal with absolutely everything. But, you know, I thought Alisson was excellent on the day. If
that's Mignolet, you should all tell me you should save it. I'm telling you that now. You're all telling me. You're telling me you should save it.
You know what, Neil? Goalkeeping's about.
No, this is it. I think for me, this is the first time we've seen him do the goalkeeping properly, but I think he does absolutely brilliant with everything else. And so what happens is that we all get to chill out now and get to say, yeah, it sounds. It's one of them. But
I think he saves 1 in 3. I think actually he feels like a keeper that saves 1 in 3 of them. We got into phase actually with late Reina, but also with Mignolet, where you thought he's just not saving these ever. He's just not ever getting, so that's why the criticism height.
He's like a really, you know, we talk about who's the goalie, the goalie that you always say just does what the goalie. Nigel Martin. He's surprisingly Nigel Martin.
He is, yeah.
He's saving everything he should be saving. And you know, on top of that, he's very good with the ball at his feet, and he's really commanding of his area as well. He's really solid.
He is.
So there's
I would not criticise him for the goal. Personally, I'm just saying. I just know.
I don't know.
Liverpool keepers past. We're sitting here and we're having an argument about it.
You might be right, but then there's context.
That's my point. My point is that
there's context there. But you know, I didn't criticise Mignolet for Hazard's goal in the week. You know, it's just one you'd like to see it with the other keeper. But you know, I'm happy for not to have the opposite of the, you know, occasional spectacular save and then a load of rubbish. You know, it's the opposite of that, isn't it? It's like having Reece in goal or something like that. You know, every 10 games pulls off something amazing, so he gets to keep his place. But it's the unspectacular solidness of Alisson that was really impressive.
Off his line, though, that was the first time I think we've been treated to what he can do coming through his line quickly with Schmeichel. He was very quick to smell danger, and I mean the save from Williams unbelievable.
The action he's got where he waits, and then he rushes them. There's that little sprint towards them. I was so impressed with Alisson.
He waits for the striker to put their head down and then rushes.
Then he rushes, and then he's so big. He's such a big unit, and I mean, I see your point on the Alisson thing, Neil. Versus Mignolet, and I think you're probably correct, to be honest with you, but. As I said,
at least 2 of these characters, Paul, and I'm looking at you and I'm saying 2 of these characters would slaughter Mignolet for that goal.
Neil, the exact thought occurred to me as looking at the goal. I thought, I asked myself that exact question: would I have been unhappy with Mignolet conceding that goal?
It's a very late bid for Neil to win the Mignolet argument, and it's not going to happen.
No, I'm not trying to win the Mignolet argument. That's not my point. My point is My point is more that, as I say,
we know what we were doing.
If we were sitting here previous times, right now, but as I say, I think it's a bit of a thing about goalkeeping, which is that we can't sit around and expect them to be absolutely perfect. There was people at the time saying to me, maybe you could do a bit better, and you can always say maybe you could do a bit better in the same way you can say, well, maybe Mo Salah could do a bit better, maybe Jordan Henderson could have done a bit better, etc., etc.
A taller keeper probably saves Sturridge's effort, if I'm honest. I think Kepa could do better for that. I mean, it's not really been said because it is a really good goal, but he's 6'1". I think a 6'3", 6'4" goalkeeper gets a hand to that.
It's a really good point. It's an excellent point, and I think that let's. My wider thing is let's just chill out.
Well, I think Jordan's been sleeping well because he might not have the shortest arms anymore.
No, Jordan's got short arms and he's short. Go on.
The trajectory of that Sturridge shot is bloody weird, and I've watched it back and I still don't quite get the physics of it. I was behind it and I thought it's sailing way over.
That's what Craig Hannon in the office was just saying the same thing. As a left footer, from there, it's the wrong. It's the wrong place.
It's bending away. It's an outswinger, isn't it?
It is the wrong place to hit it from. Completely as a left footer.
Yeah,
and it's a very it's mad.
Just finish up on Salah. The thing that most pleases me, Paul, from that first half performance is actually the ball to Firmino that doesn't come off, and the reason why is because he's had, I think, 2 or 3 sniffs by then, and he could have another one there, but to me that shows that his brain's still opening the pitch for him. I think if it was the idea he was thinking, I just need to get my goal, I just need to snatch at things, I just need to hope that it goes in off someone, that's what I need at the minute. For me, the ball doesn't come off, but he spots him and he commits to it as well. It's not like a half, it's not like he split between what to do. He commits to him. I just think he needs to relax a bit, to be honest.
We had a bit of this last season with Mane, didn't we? And the Burnley game in particular stands out where... But then with Mane, it was like his touch wasn't coming off, and it like balls were bouncing off him. You go, oh, bloody hell, Sadio, sort your head out. You're such a good footballer. With Salah, it's not been that. You know, he's dancing around people for fun. His general play is absolutely fine. It's just the bit he was so cool with. The finishing bit is the bit that's missing. But I thought in general play, Salah was all right. Don't get me wrong, it's far from his best game, and I understand why he's hooked, because second half especially, I think it looks he's starting to slow down a bit. But yeah, I don't think there's I almost don't feel like he's not confident, if you know what I mean. I still feel he's got that little bit of swagger about him. But he still
looks like he thinks he's the main man, albeit a bit angry with himself. We're a bit. The Mane comparison's right. I mean, okay, the Burnley game he was particularly poor, but I think he was unwell. But he'd had everyone. It became the theme of the season. Mane's not the player he was. Mane's not the player he was. And we were already. And I thought half the time it was bullshit. Quite frankly, sometimes things aren't coming off.
It was visible in that game, though.
Oh, Burnley was. Burnley he wasn't.
He scores an absolute worldie, by the way.
But all the other games, he's always contributing. He's always doing something. He's always stretching people. And if Salah's a new signing, I'm very, very happy.
If he's last season's Salah new signing, at this point, I think he's got approximately the same number of goals. And we're about as impressed with him. I think that the corresponding fixture last season, the Leicester 3-2.
Scores the header, doesn't he?
He scores the header, but we've that win is our only win for about 8 games in there. We've been disappointing against Sevilla in the Champions League. We've gone to Newcastle and got nothing. We've had Burnley at home, and we've got beaten 5-0 against Man City, and United's a draw, and that's all around this time. And no one was raving about Mohamed Salah. We were all saying, yeah, he's doing all right. No one was criticising him, but no one was raving about him. And I think that's if I was the manager, that's what I'd be harking back to, which is that sometimes this is just literally the way the sport works, mate. Last season, for instance, Cristiano Ronaldo only scores about 2 goals first half of the season and finishes it with 28.
Harry Kane's always had this August thing, hasn't he? You know, maybe Salah's a bit of a slow starter. You know, you never know. Well, you know what? If that's the case, I'm happy because of the start we've had.
He also doesn't get a pen the way the likes of Kane and Aguero do, just to like tick their numbers over. Do you know what I mean? We had a penalty or 2 now.
Well, but Milner's been taking them, which is the right thing to do.
It is the right. It is, of course, it is the right thing. But often that
helps.
Yeah. So people go, oh, look, Kane's.
Anyway. Again, I've asked you about Sturridge. He comes off on 65. Salah, you starting him in Naples?
Do you know my only problem is I was going to say this earlier. Does anyone see Sturridge and Firmino as a pair yet?
Well, it's interesting that he plays Mane against Chelsea. That's what makes me think Salah probably starts in Naples. I can see Shaqiri starting in Naples, but you know what? I kid myself into the fact that we're going to make loads of changes, and he's only making 2s and 3s here and there. So the wholesale changes, I don't think so. I think he's going to go to Napoli away is about as hard as an away you're going to get in the world. You know, that's. So to go and make 6 or 7 changes, I don't think is going to happen. Despite City, he could surprise you.
Shaqiri for Mane, I think, is maybe the only front 3 change, and Keita for maybe Henderson.
It could be a bit of a different midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Fabinho would get a game there.
I'd be really surprised if Salah didn't start. I think
I'd be really surprised if he doesn't start in Naples. I would start him in Naples. I'd be giving him 70 minutes and just saying, play some footy, lad.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of return to old stamping grounds, being in Italy as well. There's kind of that sort of thing. playing. It's a different competition. It's a
Rafa
chance to feel
starts,
fresher.
doesn't he?
Yeah. So it's I think he starts. I'm not sure exactly what the front three looks like in terms of the other two. Because I don't expect all three of them to start.
Because can he play Firmino, Sturridge, and Salah?
It's not. It doesn't
sound right.
In the past, it's meant that Firmino hasn't been as effective at all, and you know, that's had a knock-on effect on how good the other two can be.
That's the problem, I think, for Daniel, is that he has to wait for Firmino to drop out to get his starts, and not the other two.
As I say, I just think it's at the minute he's just a really good sub to have.
There could be a chat around him going Sturridge, Firmino, and I don't know, almost a diamond. That wouldn't surprise me if he actually changed the shape.
I think we might see that for the Red Star games or around that sort of time, is when he
just
might do
because of
something
the
like
options.
That.
I can't seem to make it the system like a big full change. It's the left hand side I think we're struggling with.
I think it might be that Mane gets a little bit of a rest and it becomes Shaqiri starts off the left. Salah and Firmino is what I think he does. Though I would be absolutely fine if he decides to rest Firmino as well as Mane, and probably play Sturridge. But I just sort of think he might decide he wants Firmino for the rhythm, and also for Firmino to be the man who stood next to Mohamed Salah, because he's got loads and loads of evidence that everybody likes that of those two. I think he might do that for this one.
He has one more option. Can I just posit it? Naby Keita in the front three. I don't know. But
I taught myself into that for Chelsea, and when it didn't happen, I've sort of ruled that out maybe happening.
I think Naby Keita plays, by the way, in Naples.
I think Naby Keita starts in Naples, and then it's a bit of a toss-up for who plays against Manchester City. Anyway, second half shape. There's a question really watching it back, Paul. First 20 minutes of the second half is whether or not we push them back or they decide they're going to sit back. I actually think we push them back because they have a decent 10, I think 65 to 75, around that sort of time, where they make nothing happen for a while.
Yes.
And so I think that tells you that they would rather nothing was happening, if you know what I mean, than the idea they were sitting there and absorbing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Shaqiri change puts Liverpool... There have been a period of almost like a sterile period in the game. I think what Shaqiri, after being on for about 5 minutes or so, starts to actually... He's swapping sides. He's quite often out of position and having to find himself trotting back across the pitch, I noticed. But he was influencing it more than I think may have come across on the telly. He was quite busy. He's got like this almost... do you know when like your best player gets annoyed and he almost wants the ball all the time, gives him... He's so... What's the word I'm looking for? He's so happy to have it. You know,
he wants to force everything.
He's trying to force it, and it's such an effective substitute, that because Liverpool was starting to lose a little bit of rhythm, starting to lose tempo is probably the word. They were starting to lose that tempo, and Chelsea were happy to put the foot on the ball, knock it around the back four, let Jorginho have it, spray it around a little bit. But Shaqiri stops that from happening. I think Klopp actually got his substitutes perfect at the weekend.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a period in the second half where they start bringing out some songs and Chelsea don't sing anymore. They actually heard one man went to fucking Mo. Now, that's... Chelsea think they're in business by the time that happens. But you know what, it lasts about 5 minutes, and as you said, Shaqiri shuts them up, and suddenly our end is as loud as it's ever been at 1-0 down. There is also not just chances, Adam. There's also chances to create chances, and I think that's important. And I think that also tips the balance a little bit back in our favour. Everyone begins to go, okay, this isn't finished, and I think that's the thing. This isn't finished. This thing's on, and I think they're defending well to stop the chances that should be chances, more than we're actually attacking poorly. I think at times when you're in the ground or when you're watching it on television, and in different ways, you can grow frustrated when, for instance, well, why isn't he playing that pass? Well, it might look easy on telly, but in the ground, he's got 3 men blocking the lane off, and he either can't see it or he just can't play it. And I thought that they defended well. I didn't think I was ever looking at it going, Liverpool aren't still attacking well.
Yeah, they did. I think we've said that they retreated a bit, and that's allowed that to happen. They've tired. We've made some good substitutes, and it is as I think I said to you during the game, and probably on the pink as well, although God knows, it was that we do much of our best work through Robertson, and that was sort of stopped from happening the whole game because of how good Azpilicueta is. That side of Chelsea's play is just keeps him completely busy, basically. is never really able to sort of join in the attack.
It's almost illegal how good Azpilicueta is.
It knocks me sick.
Having said that,
he's bothering me all game how good he is.
We get back into the game because we have managed to get, I think, Mane and Firmino in tandem with Robertson. That opens up the pitch for us.
Yeah, so that's what I was just sort of having that same thought of because it is obviously like the goal comes from that side, Shaqiri chance comes from that side as well. So
and the Mane chance as well.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe what we've done is kind of overload them on that side.
Yeah, exactly.
I do find it interesting though, and when I say interesting, it's not enough of a string to our bow. Our right, I think our right needs to improve. Trent doesn't get anywhere near the amount of support that Robertson does, and I just think that in games like that where their right back is going to be brilliant, and there are going to be some good ones that although none as good as Azpilicueta, we do have to. It's a bit of a puzzler for us to try and get around, because we sort of just back Trent to whip something in. And that's not what we do with Robertson. We sort of actively discourage him from whipping anything in, really.
Yeah, the gap between Salah and Trent in games is bigger.
Yeah.
Salah is looking for Firmino. He wants to be within 10 yards of Firmino, and he'll have Trent 20 yards wide of him. Whereas the other side, that doesn't seem to happen, does it?
No, there's Milner's there, Mane's there. And they can play, and so many of our goals come from that. So there's something happens when we make our substitutes to mean that I guess it's the presence of Shaqiri probably on the other side that means we can kind of overload on the left and still manage to create things despite them having their good players there.
The Shaqiri miss it's a blow for. Let's be really clear. It's a really good run, Paul. It's a run that shows that he can think like the centre forward, that like the lad has to come in off that flank and be the centre forward, because we've all shifted. We've all gone 15 yards to the left for this thing that Adam's talking about. So it's a really good run, and he's also trying to do the harder thing and the right thing. He's trying to just sort of guide it. There's an argument to say you should go the other side and take the play away from the momentum.
Put the ball back from where it came from. Yeah,
there's an argument to say you should go that way, but I think he's trying to just sort of. He's trying to have it nestle into the corner. It may just simply be he's trying to be too short.
It's on his wrong foot as well, isn't it? And that's what I sort of took from it. Didn't look natural, but I was sort of making that argument in my head. But I thought if you used to playing right hand side and you left footed, then if you're going to have been in them scenarios a number of times. So I can only just say it's a poor finish, really. I think Andy Robertson's ball is absolutely whippy delish. It's fantastic. I wanted to get that in there, It's a fantastic ball, and I think Shaqiri should just basically do better.
He should.
But he's there. I mean,
I take encouragement from where he turns up.
But my thing though, Rob, is I'm now at the sort of point where I think he just needs to score one. I think he needs a Liverpool goal. I think if he's probably got a Liverpool goal, he's probably more relaxed on that. There's
so unfortunate with that free kick, isn't it?
There's probably a hell of a lot going through his head there all at once, and it is a shame that it's it almost feels like too big a goal for it to be your first Liverpool goal. The first Liverpool goal is a big deal for any player. It almost felt like it was just going to be too big.
Sorry, I know you're talking to Rob. No, carry on, Rob.
Yeah, he does. I'd like to see him get a couple of games on the run starts. I think
that's the next batch for him, though, isn't it? It's the other side of this international break. He gets this.
He's been really focused, and he's quietly contributed. And actually, not quite. I mean, Southampton, he's great, and he gets hooked at half time. He hits the fucking bar with a worldie of a free kick. Makes the first goal. There's so many little. You could do a lovely little tape of Shaqiri's best bits so far in a very short space of time. Contribution per minute. I don't know if that's a stat out there at the moment, but he's certainly got sort of numbers, hasn't he?
It's I think that as Paul said, if he scores that free kick against Southampton,
he gets a song for
a start. Certainly it's as much as his chance, and I completely agree with Paul. He just needs to score, but the free kick's annoying too, because it's especially having seen Sturridge scoring his one that he missed in the week.
Yeah.
So Sturridge has his sighter on Wednesday and then scores it. Why does Shaqiri choose that side with his free kick against Chelsea?
Yeah, I thought that there was the big moment, wasn't there? It seemed really set up for him. Trent just gets off.
He's a long way out with that free kick.
No, it's the same place.
I know, but the expectations harsh.
You can't expect it every time. Don't get me wrong, but it just seemed tepid, didn't it?
It was a bad decision, not badly executed.
In the ground, we'll go, it's too far. He'll never score. He's going to score. He'll never score. He's going to score.
But Kepa's stood on that side of the goal, and he just kicks it into his arms.
Yeah. Just pass back.
Yeah, and the whole top corner that he hits against Southampton is there.
I just didn't want him to balloon. I thought it'll just get ballooned this, and then
but
I was just
at the match madness.
Is that how it was? Then I was going to myself, just hit the target, just hit the target. So it's the fucking target.
We don't need to hear you in a monologue.
Oh, I know you're gonna.
But you know, when aren't we blessed with it? There is. Okay, I think we've covered just about everything apart from the centre backs. There's that wonderful moment when they snuff a counter out second half, Paul, the pair of them, working in harness with one another. The pace of the pair of them is the first thing you can take from that. But they're hugely impressive again. Liverpool concede, and they actually concede 2 or 3 good chances up to a good Chelsea side, and it's worth pointing that out. In the same way that, you know, Chelsea's centre-halves, we can walk out of that game and say they played well, Liverpool just attacked well. It felt the same way. You know, these were 4 really good central defensive performances on show, and R2 terrific.
Yeah, I mean, I think Virgil van Dijk's biggest threat to being the world's best centre-half quite possibly could be his teammate. And I thought Joe Gomez was absolutely extraordinary, you know, for the lad of that age in such a fixture to put in the performance he does again. It was unbelievable. I was listening to you guys talk about him on the pink. It's Sean O'Driscoll who makes Liverpool go for him in what is probably is 3 months as Liverpool assistant manager.
He's had him there at Charlton. He's 18, and I think he's had about 16 games that previous season. And O'Driscoll has gone, oh my God, he's a player. And we get him for an absolute bargain, don't we?
Yeah, I think it's like £3.5 million or something like that. You know, that we go and get him for, and you know he's been through it a little bit. Joe Gomez, he's been really unlucky, but at the moment, wow, there's not much you can say about it. I mean, we can have a joke about Lovren, but he is keeping the lads. He's played his last 2 major competitive fixtures, a World Cup and European Cup finals, out of a team, and that's just the level he's performing at. And Van Dijk as well. I mean, he just looks so good in that captain's armband, I must say. You know, towards the end of the game, I was watching back this morning when he's organising that Chelsea free kick at the end, which Keita puts out. He is demanding things on that football pitch that are his way. He's organised and he's so influential. There's just, I mean, I'm gonna by Christmas or something, you can't ask me a question on him because there's no more to say on just how good he is.
We were saying in the car going back yesterday, it's crazy how good our back 5 now is, or potentially is at any rate. From where we were a year ago or so, where Trent was emerging, we didn't know how good he was going to be. Gomez was okay at right back. Moreno had the shirt ahead of Robertson, who had no idea what he was. We had Lovren and Matip in there, and we had Simon in goal.
We got to see it in the week. It's horrible.
What it is nowhere near the level. This lot are a potentially world-class back 5. Who you're given the age of Gomez, Robertson, and Trent, and and Alisson as a goalkeeper, quite frankly, and the accomplishment, the finished productness of Van Dijk. It's incredible.
And it's ruthlessness. It's ruthlessness from Klopp. And I think you said that last week, Paul. And it is, apart from Trent, who kind of just gets his chance because of injury and takes it. All of the others, somebody's been axed there, and you know, and there's been, you know, the proper ruthlessness in another way as well, where, you know, we've for Van Dijk, he's just said, I want that one, and just been patient and got him. And with Gomez, he's done the opposite. He's kind of gone, well, no, I don't want anybody else. I'm playing Gomez and Alisson, yeah. So, but I mean, Gomez was already there, and I don't think anybody would have confidently predicted how good he was going to be at all.
Not post-injury.
I think we all sort of thought we would rather have another centre half. But you know, Klopp's basically this summer, and Klopp said, you know, we've got Gomez going in, and for me, the thing that I've been expecting is for him to make a Rick concede a pen in a big game. I probably thought Tottenham away or Chelsea away. I thought something would happen, and we'd have to see how he faces that adversity. And I guess that still might happen, but I'm not worried about it anymore.
No.
I think he's gone beyond any concerns. You know, it makes me almost weep with joy every time I see him now.
He's not one error away from losing his place, and that's the thing. He's got so much credit in the bank now that. You know, that'll take the pressure off him a little bit. I mean,
What surprised me is the aggression he's got, because you couldn't quite see that at full back, and you'd see him occasionally getting caught underneath the ball. So you thought, shit, is he going to adapt to a centre half? You know, where you have to be that bit more of a warrior, that bit more front-footed and aggressive.
He loves it, doesn't he?
No, he's absolutely up for it.
And I said it the other day, but he set the tone. He came charging out of defence after someone in midfield, I can't think Milner or Henderson, had not been front foot enough, and Chelsea were nearly in, and he just charges out and just and you know, slaloms up the pitch with the ball, and it was a joy to see. He's just, yeah, he was. I sort of looking back on it, you also see that you know, maybe Wijnaldum sort of pitched him as man of the match, but at the time I was giving it to Joe all day.
Let's be quite clear: Chelsea can win this league.
Yeah. I think it's very hard to call at the moment. It's very hard to call what kind of a season we're going to have still, I think. So I'm buggered if I even have a clue what Chelsea are going to do.
It's a 3-horse race.
I think that
I'm not sure.
When we talked pre-season about how every season's different, some seasons one team runs away with it, and there's, like last season, one team runs away with it, and there's basically no good teams in the league. There's a load of rubbish. I don't think, and we said, what sort of a season would we like to have? And what we wanted was more of a competitive league. A more competitive league suits us because there's more teams that can take points off each other. I think the teams that have come up have made that happen, and in general, I think teams have kicked on. You know, even like Everton, basically, the middle teams have sort of improved as well. So I think that we can't complain about it being a 3-horse race. Is what I'm
complaining. I'm not complaining.
So I think it being Chelsea being good suits us, especially now we've kind of got them out of the way. I think that they will. I fear that they will take a lot of momentum from that.
Yeah.
From that performance, and but as I say, I think that they can win it. They can win it. There's nothing, as I'm sort of thinking that the way their path through. There's nothing really stopping them. If they can play like that. The West Ham game last week makes me think that they'll just have enough dodgy moments on the road, as they did in 2014, you know, losing at Palace and bits like that, where you're just sort of like, oh, well, you know, there they go. Because the standards being set at that high.
I just wonder if that's just one of them. It's just one of them that Man City have against Wolves, you know.
But that's all we need, isn't it? We just need a few of them.
My one for them, Paul, if you want me to, I'll talk them up because I think they're in this. I think they're banging this. But where I begin to go, all right, they could do with being able to believe Giroud will get 15 league goals. Or that Giroud and Morata between them will get 30. They need Willian to put a consistent run of goal scoring together.
They had Costa, didn't they?
Yeah.
Costa, when they won the league last, Costa banged in a load of 1-0s.
Yeah, they did,
and they haven't quite got that.
The only thing, the thing is, this could be the. Did you hear Sarri say? I think Eden Hazard can get 40 goals.
Yeah.
That could be the difference for
But
them.
I think even if he gets 40, they still need Giroud to get 15.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's my
because Salah got 14, but Mane and Firmino both got 20 odds each. I understand that. It's.
I don't think Salah's going to get. Hazard's going to get 40 goals.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure he will or not. But I think we can't lose sight. And I've been saying this about Chelsea for a while. Is the champions 18 months ago, and there's not much changed apart from the fact they've gone and got a very good manager, and he's drilled them and organised them very quickly. He's got, in the way that when Mourinho got Fabregas and Costa in the same summer, and they seem to be like missing links. He's done the same, but this year it looks like it's Jorginho and Kovacic. You know, that I thought, you know, when we were doing shows for Tour Player in the summer, we were talking about the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming in and Chelsea building the side around them. They look a million miles away from that now. We're saying him, Batshuayi, just what are they going to do? And actually, he's just sorted the mess out very quickly.
I sort of think if I was them, I'd still probably rather have Batshuayi than Morata, just as a general sort of point. I'd probably rather have Batshuayi on the books than Morata at the minute, because I think he offers more variation, something a bit different. Also, some worth pointing out as well, Spurs and Arsenal could well end this run of games closer than we may have expected. City obviously win. It was noticeable that Houghton was absolutely nailed on about being happy about only getting beat 2-0 post-match, which, you know, is the thing we've been saying that managers will do when they go to City maybe
Arsenal
when they come to
7 and 7 as well in all comps.
But in general, there is the possibility a proper mid-table might break out. Huddersfield and Cardiff look to me like they're going to get cut adrift. Then it looks like Fulham, Southampton and Newcastle are all going to be scrapping around to some degree. I can see Huddersfield and Cardiff getting less than 20 points. But what I think is really good about that, Adam, is what you're saying, which is something there might be 10 teams in the middle of the table who, for instance, when we go there or when Man City go there or when Chelsea go to their place, might actually think, well, we can have a go here. Because if we get beat, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to get sucked into the morass. Yeah,
definitely. And it is those teams, you know, Wolves are playing really well. Everton seem to have hit a bit of a stride and thought they were quite good against Arsenal. And, you know, you can see them, you know, doing that a couple more places. And it is what we need. Arsenal are in a good moment. You could tell they're all really enjoying having such good strikers. Basically, they've got that's allowed them to play and you know cover the things that they need to cover behind, just because they know that they've got some really good, and I think you've compared them to us in sort of 2014. It is a bit like that. But yeah, I think as I say, I just think it is the shape of the season that we would have designed if we, you know, as a season where we were going to be in it.
As a season where we're going to be in it. Listen, it's been the Anfield Wrap this week. Thank you much to Paul, to Adam and to Rob and to RedsBet, who we partnered with in 2018 as well. But let's just spare a thought. Daniel Sturridge scored and all I had was Steve Graves in my ear afterwards saying, make sure it counts, don't let it be expunged from the record. Well, we should be making sure it counts all the way up till next May. Let's make it a massive point when May comes around.